Hey, welcome to an exciting series of tutorials where I teach you the basics of Laravel. So for those of you that do not know what Laravel is a framework. So let's explore that a little bit. Okay. So there is a difference between a framework and a CMS. Now, a CMS is a content management system, which is something like WordPress. Okay, so WordPress is a CMS. It's a content management system. So WordPress is like this website that is already created for you. The only thing you're doing is you are changing its appearance in order to suit your needs. So you don't change the functionality, you just change the appearance of it. You can change a bit of the functionality here and there, but the core functions remain the same. This is why this is just a CMS. It's just WordPress is just like a website that's already created for you. All you are doing is customizing it. But a framework, on the other hand, this is where Laravel falls into. So a framework is like a skeleton of a project, right? So there are things when you're creating a website, for example, things that you do all the time, that you repeatedly do all the time. For example, you're always going to connect to a database. You're always going to need to put user input. You're going to get user input and so on, you know, and then probably you're going to follow the MVC system, which Laravel actually does. So this one is MVC, which is Model View Controller. This is the system that Laravel follows. Now, when don't worry if you don't know what MVC is. For now, we're going to go over that. But what happens with Laravel is it gets all those things that you do normally, and then they just put them together in advance for you. And then they put some extra code there to help you depending on what you want to make. And then all you do is it just makes sure that you don't start from scratch. That's what it is. So it's a framework because it holds everything together. So you just add on top of it. So you add code on top of it. So the main difference between Laravel and WordPress is that with Laravel, you need to be a coder in order to make use of it. If you're not a coder, you're not going to get anything out of it because you have to add some extra code. What they give you is just the foundation. They give you the foundation in advance and then you add to it. But in a CMS, it's a complete website by itself. You don't need to code anything. You can just do the customization. So this is the main difference between these two. So hopefully that makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense, don't worry. You don't really need to know the difference here. As we learn more, you're going to see why Laravel is used. Okay, so why would you want to use Laravel at all? Well, first of all, to make coding faster. So you say faster coding. And why is this? You code faster because, as I mentioned before, the framework is already there for you. The beginning, the foundation is there. You just add to that, okay? And then another reason you might want to use this, it has tested code, right? So here, the code that they add in here, for example, there are classes in here that you're going to be using. For example, user authentication is already built into Laravel. So instead of you starting from scratch, creating your own security systems and all that, you can already use tested code. Okay, so as a result, it makes for a more robust situation. So if you have a big project that you want to work with, maybe you have a team of people, you can use this framework in order to speed up your work and make more robust code instead of having to start from scratch, which would take a much longer time, and then you're probably going to make mistakes, etc., etc. So I'm going to teach you the basics of this, and then you can decide whether you will use this for your project or not, because it's not really a must to use this, especially if your project is very small. But if you have a large project, Laravel might be the thing for you. So just watch the tutorials and you can decide whether it's the thing for you. Okay, so what do you need to know in order to be able to follow along with this tutorial? Now, the first thing you need to be able to do is you need to be at least knowledgeable in HTML. This is very important because all websites use HTML as the foundation. So if you don't know HTML, this is going to not work at all. So it also helps if you know some CSS. You don't need to be a pro in HTML, just the basics are enough. Same with CSS, the basics are enough. And also you need to know the basics of PHP because Laravel is written in PHP. So if you don't know PHP, it's just not going to work out. So I have many tutorials on my site for PHP. You can go and check them out. Now, somebody who has object-oriented knowledge of PHP is going to have an advantage, even though this is not necessary. So even though you don't know any object-oriented PHP programming, that's okay. But if you do, it's going to help a lot. So I have a series of tutorials as well. I'm going to put the links in the description to all the courses that you can follow along before you can qualify for this, in case you don't know some of this. So this is essential up to here, but this is optional and it will give you an advantage. All right, so in the next video, we're going to look at installation and we begin creating something exciting, right? I'll see you in the next video.